the text matter is there. Okay. Today we are comparing the various organs of the digestive system with each other. For example, we are comparing, say for example, stomach, that is the stomach of the fish, stomach of the amphibian, stomach of the reptile, then stomach of the aves, and the stomach of the mammal. So in this fashion, we are completing this topic, that is the comparative account of digestive system. This is the first slide. Okay, the title is written, that is the comparative account of the digestive system of vertebrate type. Now look here, here it is. This is the account for the fish. This is the account for the class Amphibia. This is account for the Reptilia. Then this is account for the aves, and the final column, it shows the account of the mammals. Okay. Now let us consider first the information of alimentary canal. As you know that the digestive system, it consists of alimentary canal and the digestive gland. So we are considering here first the information regarding the alimentary canal. Okay, so as you know, alimentary canal, it starts with mouth and ends with the cloacal aperture or the anal aperture. So in the first point here, the character is written, various characters of the alimentary canal, these are considered. So here in this slide, the major parts of the alimentary canals, here these are the major parts. Then the second point is the mouth opening, information regarding the mouth opening in all the classes. Then the information of the jaws and lips here, and here the information of teeth, that is the comparatively we are studying the account of the teeth. So let us consider the point number 1 or the character number 1. So the name of the character is the major parts of the alimentary canal. So these are the various parts, starting with the buccal cavity and the cloaca. All the major parts of the alimentary canal, these are quite similar. Okay, in the first 4 classes, that is up to the aves. But in mammal, what is there? Change is there. The cloaca, it is replaced by the anus. It means the cloaca is absent, and that aperture, it is replaced with the anus. Okay, have you followed? अरे समजते का काय बोलतोय ते?
Yes, sir. समजतंय.
हा, आता काय आपल्याला करावं लागेल, हा जो मी कंपॅरेटिव्ह अकाउंट एक्सप्लेन करतोय त्यावेळेला तुमच्याकडे याच्या 5 फिगर्स आहेत, ऑल 5 फिगर्स, दॅट इज डायजेस्टिव्ह सिस्टीम ऑफ स्कॉलिओडॉन, डायजेस्टिव्ह सिस्टीम ऑफ, हा बोला.
हॅलो सर. सर आवाज ब्रेक होतो तुमचा.
आवाज नाही ब्रेक व्हायला पाहिजे.
हा थोडा होतोय आधीमध्ये.
ओके ओके. आता हे जे काही कंपॅरेटिव्हचे पॉईंट आपण स्टडी करतोय त्यावेळेला तुमच्या पुढे समोर तुमच्या या 5च्या 5 फिगर आल्या, म्हणजे प्रत्येकाची डायजेस्टिव्ह सिस्टीमची फिगर ही तुमच्या पुढे पाहिजे. स्कॉलिओडॉनची, फ्रॉगची, युरोमॅटिकची, त्यानंतर पिजनची आणि रॅबिटची. जर तुमच्या पुढे जर या फिगर्स असतील ऍट ए टाइम तर तुम्हाला हे एक्सप्लेनेशन चांगल्या प्रकारे समजेल. ओके, सो यू ऑलरेडी हॅव ऑल दीज 5 फिगर showing the digestive system. So all these figures, you must keep these figures in front of you for the better understanding. Okay, now let us consider the second character, that is the mouth opening. Okay, mouth opening in case of fish, it is located on the ventral side. Example is we are considering is the scoliodon. So mouth opening is located on the ventral side. It is small and it is crescentic or it is semi oval and it is bounded by the jaws. Okay, now when you see the mouth opening in case of frog, it is terminal along the anterior end of a head. It is a large semicircular and it is a slit like, and it is again bounded by the jaw. So all the mouth opening, it is bounded by the jaw, that is upper jaw and the lower jaw, except in case of the birds there is a modification of the jaw, that is in the beak. Now mouth opening in the lizard, it is terminal. It is along the anterior end of the head. It is large, semicircular, slit-like, and it is again bounded by the jaws. Okay, come to the pigeon or come to the birds. Again, mouth opening, it is terminal. It is V-shaped, slit with a wide gap, and it is bounded by the jaws and the horny beaks. Again, come to the mammals, that is we have studied the example, that is rabbit. In case of rabbit, mouth opening is subterminal. It is small, transverse slit, and it is again bounded by the jaws. Now come to the third characteristic property of the system, that is the jaws and the leaves. So information of the jaws and leaf in all the 5 classes. So first, in case of the dogfish, the lower jaw, in case of dogfish, it is movable, leaves are absent, and the jaws are covered by the spiny skin. Okay, so this is regarding the information of the jaws and leaf in case of the dogfish. In case of the amphibian, the lower jaw is movable, similar to the fish, and leaves are hard, and it is immovable and without scale, that is scaleless. In reptiles, lower jaw is movable, leaves hard, immovable, and covered by the scales. Then in case of pigeon, lower jaw is again movable, leaves absent, but horny sheath or horny beaks present which cover the jaw. In case of rabbit, lower jaw is movable. Your lower jaw is also movable, upper jaw is not movable. So leaves are also movable. So this is another capacity given to the mammal, movable leaves. Okay, the leaves are hairy and upper lip cleft. In case of rabbit, the upper lip is showing the cleft or the notch, and it also bears the vibrissae, or which are sensitive to the touch. Now come to the account of the teeth in all the classes. Teeth in case of the dogfish or in fishes, it is sharp. All teeth are similar, meaning homodont, and backwardly directed teeth. Okay, so there are several rows on the skin of both the jaw, and the teeth are modified placoid scales, and these are replaced by the new set of teeth. So this condition is called as the polypodont throughout the life, meaning teeth are replaced many times in the entire life of the fish. So the condition is called as the polypodont condition. Now come to the amphibia. Example is the frog we have seen. Teeth, these are small, conical, and attached to the bones. When these are attached to the bone, this condition is called as the acrodont. Teeth are all similar, condition is called as homodont. The condition, another condition is polypodont, meaning these are replaced many times throughout the life, and these are present only on the upper jaw. So there is a single row of teeth is present, and these are located only on the upper jaw. Come to the lizard. In case of lizard, teeth, these are small, conical, they are acrodont, meaning attached to the bones, and pleurodont, found on both the jaws in a single row. So there is a single row of teeth present in both the jaws. Here teeth are totally absent in the birds. That is, both the jaws of the teeth, they do not have teeth. So teeth are absent in the modern birds. Come to the mammal, that is rabbit. In rabbit, teeth of several types. This condition is called as the heterodont condition. Several types meaning incisor, canines, premolars, and molars. So these are the 4 basic types. And the root of these teeth, these are located in the socket of the jawbone. This condition is called as the thecodont condition. That means our teeth, these are directly articulated into the jawbone. This condition is called as the thecodont, and occur in the 2 sets in life. We have 2 sets of teeth in our life. In the initial phase of life, milk teeth, and after that, these are replaced by the permanent teeth, and teeth are present on both the jaws. Okay, have you followed this much information? एवढी इन्फॉर्मेशन समजली का तुम्हाला या 4 पॉइंटशी निगडीत?
हो सर, समजली.
यानंतर आपण
Yes,
पुढच्या
sir.
पॉइंट कडे वळणार आहोत. ओके, सो दिस इज द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड. स्लाइड दिसते सर्वांना? ओके.
येस सर.
आता याच्यामध्ये पुढचे 5 पॉइंट लिहिलेले आहेत, 5 कॅरेक्टर्स लिहिलेले आहेत. ते कॅरेक्टर्स कोणते आहेत? सो लेट मी tell you the 5 characters which are written here. The first character, it is the diastema. Second character, it is the dental formula. Third character, it is the function of the teeth. Then the buccal cavity, and the final one is the vestibule. Okay, now come to the diastema. What is the meaning of the diastema? So diastema, it is the toothless space present in the jaw. म्हणजे ज्या ठिकाणी दात नाहीत. Okay, so that space is called as the diastema. Okay, so such type of diastema is absent in the fishes, it is absent in the amphibians, it is absent in the reptiles as well as in the birds. But this toothless space, which is known as the diastema, it is present in rabbit between incisor and the premolar teeth. Okay, a toothless area is there. It is called as it is located in between incisor and the premolar teeth. Okay, now come to the dental formula. Okay, so this dental formula, when you see the dental formula, it is not represented in fishes as well as in amphibians, reptiles, and in the birds, but it is represented in all the mammals. Okay, so in rabbit, the dental formula, it is written as incisor in upper jaw, 2 in lower jaw, 1. Canines in both the jaws are absent. Premolar in upper jaw, 3. In the lower half part of the jaw is 2. Again, the molars, here it is written as premolars, but it is a molar in upper half 3 and in lower half 3. So totally 28 teeth are present in the rabbit. Now, function of the teeth. Okay, in Scoliodon, the function of teeth is grasping the prey. In frog or in amphibian, it is holding the prey. In reptile, grasping and holding, that is, both the functions are carried out by the teeth. And here, the teeth are absent. So, in case of the mammal, teeth are used for cutting, holding, and mastication of the food material. Okay, come to the buccal cavity. Another character, buccal cavity. Buccal cavity is large, so it is called as the spacious, and it is dorso-ventrally flattened, meaning dorsally and ventrally it is flat because the head is compressed dorso-ventrally. So buccal cavity, it is also compressed. In frog, it is large, wide, and shallow. In reptile, in lizard, it is narrow in front, but it is broad posteriorly. In bird, it is narrow and roughly triangular. In a rabbit, large and spacious buccal cavity is present. Now come to the vestibule. You know that the meaning of the vestibule? Vestibule, it is the space which is bounded by the jaws, lips, and the cheeks. म्हणजे आपल्या गालाच्या आतमध्ये असलेली जी काही कॅव्हिटी आहे, that cavity, it is called as the vestibule. So such vestibule, it is totally absent in the Scoliodon, in frog, in aromatics, and in pigeon. But vestibule is present in the mammals, here in the rabbit. So mouth opens into a narrow space which is bounded by the jaws, lips, and the cheeks. So that space is called as the vestibule. Okay, so this is all about regarding the comparative account of these 5 characters. Now, next slide. Again, next slide, it is showing another character starting from the palate up to the gill slit. So there are totally 6 characters are written, that is palate, tongue, internal nerve, pharynx, and the gill slits. So 5 characters are there: palate, tongue, internal nerve, pharynx, and the gill slit. Now come to the palate. You know the meaning of the palate. Okay, palate ज्याला आपण मराठीमध्ये टाळा असं म्हणतो, टाळा. Okay, that is roof of the buccal cavity is called as the palate. So in case of fish, Scoliodon, this palate is absent, and skull, it forms the roof of buccal cavity. Again, in frog, it is also absent. Skull forms the roof of the buccal cavity. In lizard, it is absent. In lizard and snake, it is absent, but a false or pseudopalate is present in crocodilians. That is, in crocodilians, pseudopalate or the false palate is present. In pigeon, the palate, it is incomplete and it is formed by the lateral folds. Okay, it is formed by the lateral folds which do not meet medially. And in the rabbit, okay, in the rabbit, a secondary palate is present forming roof of the buccal cavity. Now come to the lung. Sorry, come to the tongue. So this is second character, tongue. You know the meaning of the tongue? It is flexible. It is having the taste buds and it is useful for moving the bolus. That is the food which is present in the buccal cavity. Okay. Now in case of the dogfish, tongue is small. It is non-muscular, non-glandular, and it is non-protrusible, meaning it do not come out from the mouth. It is attached at the base and not used in a food capture. And taste buds are lacking. Okay. Then, in case of the frog, tongue is very large. It is muscular and it is speaking. Anterior end of the tongue is attached in a reverse fashion. Anterior is attached while the posterior end of the tongue is free and bifurcated, or it is bifid. It is highly protrusible and it is used for capturing the insect prey. It is covered by the few taste buds. Okay, few taste buds are present on the tongue of the frog. Then come to the reptiles. Example is the uromastyx. Okay. So in case of this uromastyx, the tongue is large. It is roughly triangular. It is muscular, glandular, and it is attached mid-ventrally. Anterior tip, it is free, it is bifid, and it is protrusible. Okay, and it is covered with fine papillae having the taste buds, meaning taste buds are present on the tongue. In case of pigeon, information of the tongue, if you see, it is large, it is narrow and triangular. It is attached and non-protrusible. And further important thing is that it is covered with fine horny processes. There are fine horny processes present on the tongue with very scanty, very few taste buds. Now come to the rabbit. In rabbit, tongue is large, it is muscular, it is attached mid-ventrally, and it is showing the groove mid-dorsally. Anterior tip of the tongue is free, rounded, and protrusible. It is covered with the 4 types of papillae, which contain the taste buds. So there are totally 4 types of papillae. And the meaning of the papillae. Okay. And in this papillae, the taste buds are present. Then come to the another character, that is the internal nair. So internal nair is absent in the dogfish as it respires with the help of the gills. Then in frog, it is small, 2, and it open on the buccal roof interiorly, just in front of the homerine teeth. In case of lizard, it is small, again 2, rounded, open near the anterior end of the roof of buccal cavity. In pigeon, the internal nares are small, slit-like, open rather posteriorly into buccal cavity or into the pharynx. And in rabbit, in mammal, it do not open into the buccal cavity, but it may open much posteriorly in the roof of the pharynx. Okay. Then come to the pharynx. Here, if you see the pharynx in Scoliodon, buccal cavity, it's showing the merging into the large posterior pharynx. In frog, it is also merged to form the buccopharyngeal cavity, and it is without demarcation because the neck is upside. In case of lizard, buccal cavity merges posteriorly into the broad pharynx, while in pigeon, buccal cavity merges behind again into the pharyngeal cavity, and in rabbit, pharynx is short, narrow, and it is differentiated into nasopharynx, oropharynx, and the laryngopharynx. So these are the three regions of the pharynx. Now come to the gill slits. As you know that the gill slits are present in the fishes. So pharyngeal wall, it is perforated on the lateral side with the help of the slits. These slits are nothing but the gill slits, which are pit-like and 5 vertical in the outline. So such gill slits are absent in the frog as well as in the lizard and in pigeon. While in case of the rabbit, spiracles and the gill slits are also lacking or absent. And come to the next 4 points. That is the eustachian opening, glottis, epiglottis, and the becopharyngeal structure. If you see the eustachian opening into the becopharyngeal cavity, it is absent in fishes. A wide eustachian opening lies on the roof on the lateral side near the angle of the jaws. In reptiles, this opening of the eustachian tubes lie on the sides of the roof, and in the birds, middle of the roof behind the internal layer, it contains single eustachian opening. So in the bird, the single eustachian opening is present. While in the mammals, in rabbit, sides of the nasopharyngeal wall, these are pierced by the pair of oval eustachian opening. Okay. Now come to the glottis. So glottis, it is the opening which further leads into the trachea and further into the lung. So the glottis is absent in the fishes. In amphibian, the floor carries a median slit-like opening, which is called as the glottis, leading into the laryngotracheal chamber. Then in the reptile, it is also median slit-like, which lead into the trachea. In birds, the floor of the pharynx carries an oval glottis, and it is also provided with the some lip-like structure. While in the rabbit, floor of the laryngopharynx has a median vertical slit-like glottis, which is leading into the larynx. If you see the account of the epiglottis, it is absent in the scoliodon, in the frog, in the uromastyx, and in the pigeon. But in amphibian, the epiglottis, it is the anterior bilobed cartilaginous flap, or called as the epiglottis, which guards against the entry of food into the glottis, that is into the respiratory tract. Then the becopharyngeal structure. This is the other information of the other becopharyngeal structure. It is not needed here. Now come to the other characters. Now, the main characters of the digestive system, that is the esophagus and the account of the stomach. First, let us consider information of the esophagus. Slide दिसते सर्वांना?
येस सर.
आवाज पण येतोय ना?
हा सर.
ओके. आता आपण इसोफिगसचा अकाउंट बघूया. इसोफिगस या 5 क्लासमध्ये आपण बघूया. डॉगफिश मध्ये इसोफिगसचं काय स्ट्रक्चर आहे? सो इट इज शॉर्ट अँड वाईड with thick muscular wall, and the longitudinal mucous folds are present, which are opening. This esophagus is opening into the cardiac stomach with a sphincter, which is called as the esophageal wall. So this is the condition present in the scoliodon. Now come into the frog. In frog, esophagus is short. It is wide, muscular, with a longitudinal mucous folds. It is highly distensible and not clearly demarcated from the pharynx and the stomach. So there is no clear-cut demarcation between the pharynx and the stomach. In case of uromastyx, esophagus is long, narrow, muscular tube with the longitudinal mucous folds, and it is highly distensible, and it is without crop. So crop is absent here in the lizard, but it is well developed in the pigeon. So when you see the account in the pigeon, esophagus is long because the neck is present. It is wide, it is muscular, and it is thick walled, and it is distensible. Located in front of the sternum. Sternum, it is also known as the chest bone. Its middle part, that is middle part of the esophagus, It forms a large bilobed, thin-walled and the elastic sac. So large bilobed, thin-walled elastic sac is called as the crop, or it is also called as the food reservoir. So this condition is only present in the pigeon. So this point is important for the MCQ. That is where the crop-like structure is present. Okay. Now, in case of rabbit, here esophagus is long, it is narrow, it is muscular elastic tube, and it is without crop, and it is showing the uniform diameter. It further opens into the stomach. So this is all about regarding the account of esophagus in all the 5 classes. Now come to the stomach. Now let us consider the variation which is present into the stomach. It is a very important point. There are a lot of changes into the stomach. In case of the dogfish or in case of the scoliodon, stomach is large, it is muscular, it is U-shaped or S-shaped. It is clearly divided into a long, broad and proximal cardiac stomach and a short, narrow distal pyloric stomach. Okay, so at the junction of these two stomach, a blind sac, blind outgrowth is present. It is called as the sphincter valve. And the longitudinal mucous folds, these are very well developed in the cardiac part of the stomach. So these are the longitudinal folds. In case of the mammal, these longitudinal folds, these are called as the rugae. Okay, so let us consider information of the stomach in the frog. In frog, stomach is large, it is broad, simple and curved. Okay, again it is muscular, located on the left side of the body cavity. Anterior region is cardiac and the posterior region is called as the pyloric stomach, but it is not marked off externally. And a blind sac or the cardiac wall is absent in frog. In a lizard, uromastic, stomach is long, tubular, or it is spindle-like. It is curved, muscular tube and lying on the left side. Cardiac and pyloric parts are indistinct. Not these are clearly visible, but these are indistinct externally. And the longitudinal mucous folds, these are very well developed in the cardiac part of the stomach. Okay. Here higher modification is observed into the pigeon. In case of the pigeon, stomach is small and further it is divided into the 2 distinct parts. Okay, 2 parts of the stomach are there. Anterior narrow tube-like part, it is also glandular. It is called as the proventriculus. And the posterior broader muscular biconvex part, it is known as the gizzard. And this gizzard, it is internally lined by thick, horny epithelium. So epithelium in the gizzard is thick and horny. So which is useful for grinding the hurriedly eaten grains. Okay. Now in rabbit. In a rabbit, in mammal, stomach is large. It is a bean-shaped or kidney-shaped. Then lying transversely on the left side. It is distinguished into 3 regions, that is the cardiac region, fundic region, and the pyloric region. Okay. Now, come to the other 4 structures, 4 characters, that is the information of the bursa, intima and gizzard, information of the intestine, the small intestine, and the duodenum. Now, information of the information of the bursa intima and the gizzard in the fishes, in scoliodon. Here, pyloric stomach opens through the pyloric wall into small globular thick-walled muscular sac. So thick-walled muscular sac, it is called as the bursa intima. Okay, so bursa intima is present in the scoliodon, and here gizzard is absent. Okay, so this is point for the MCQ. Now, this bursa intima and the gizzard, both these structures are absent in the amphibians, in the frog. Again, the bursa intima and gizzard, it is also absent in the reptiles. Okay, as the pebbles and the stones are not present there. Then in case of the bird, bursa intima is absent, but the cavity of gizzard has a pebbles or stones to help in grinding the food material. In rabbit, this bursine and gizzard is absent, and stones are also lacking inside. Okay, because the mammals are chewing the food material. Well, then intestine. If you see the intestine in the fishes, intestine is short, it is straight and a wide tube, and it is differentiated into the small and the large intestine. Okay. Then in frog, the intestine is long, coiled, and narrow. It is differentiated into small and large intestine. Then in reptile, intestine is long, coiled, narrow, clearly differentiated into the small and large intestine. The similar condition is also observed in the bird, and in case of the mammal, there is a similar condition, but there is a well demarcation between the small and large intestine. It is long and coiled tube. Then information of the small intestine. Here in fishes, there is no external differentiation between the duodenum and the ileum. So we cannot able to differentiate between the initial part, that is duodenum, and the ileum. In frog, duodenum and ileum, it is well marked. In reptile, duodenum and ileum, it is also well marked it is also in the bird as well as into the mammals. Come to the duodenum. This duodenum region is absent in the fishes in Scalodon. Duodenum is a straight tube. It is forming U-shaped loop with stomach in case of frog, which receives bile and the pancreatic juice, okay, through the hepatopancreatic duct. Then, in case of lizard, the duodenum is straight tube, receiving the separate bile and the pancreatic duct. In bird, this U-shaped tube of duodenum, which receives 2 bile ducts and 3 pancreatic ducts separately. So there are all these ducts are opening separately into the duodenum. This is a condition present into the bird. Then in mammal, distinct U-shaped loop which receives the bile duct and the pancreatic duct. These are the remaining 6 points, that is the ileum, various valves and the villi, sacculus rodentus, cecum, then the vermiform appendix, and the account of the large intestine. So let us consider the next character, number 25, is the ileum. So if you see the ileum in the dogfish, it is not differentiated. In frog, it is small and coiled. In lizard, it is short and coiled. In pigeon, it is long and coiled. And in rabbit, externally, it is long and coiled. If you see the valves or the villi, in dogfish, the mucous lining of the intestine is folded into the longitudinal scroll or the spiral wall. So scroll wall or the spiral wall is present into the intestine of the dogfish. This is important for the MCQ. And the villi are the absent. Then, in case of the frog, the mucous lining, it forms the several longitudinal folds, but spiral wall and the villi, these are absent. In case of lizard, inner longitudinal folds present, which are present, but the walls and the villi are absent. In pigeon, inner surface of the ileum, it shows many small finger-like projections which are called as villi, and the spiral wall again absent in the pigeon. In rabbit, villi are well developed, which are finger-like, which are many or numerous, and again spiral wall is absent. Sacculus rodentus. Okay, so this is present at the joining of the small intestine and the large intestine. So it is absent in all these 4 classes, that is in Pisces, amphibians, reptiles, and in the bird. But in rabbit, in mammal, distal end of the ileum, it is expanded to form the sacculus rodentus. So sacculus rodentus is present in the rabbit, while in all these 4 cases, it is absent. So it is another point for the MCQ. Then cecum. Cecum is absent in the dogfish and the frog, but in lizard, the large cecum and an ileoceloic wall is present between the small intestine and the large intestine. In case of the pigeon, at the junction of the two intestine, that is large intestine and the small intestine, it is marked by the presence of the pair of short conical rectal or coeloic ceci. Pair of conical rectal ceci or the coeloic ceci is present only in the birds. While in case of the mammal, a large thin-walled tubular and spirally constricted cecum is present, into which the saculus opens through an ileocecal valve. Okay. Then account of the vermiform appendix. So vermiform appendix is absent in all the four classes. It is present only in the mammals, and distally cecum ends blindly as a vermiform appendix. So appendix is present in the mammal. Then account of the large intestine. Large intestine in dogfish, it is the last part of the intestine which form the short rectum of a narrow diameter, and it is opening into the cloaca. In frog, the large intestine forms the short but broad rectum, again opens into the cloaca. In reptile, this anterior thin-walled narrow colon and posterior portion is known as the rectum, which opens into the cloaca. In birds, the large intestine forms the short but broad rectum. Okay, only, and it leads further into the cloaca. While in mammals, in rabbit, large intestine is very long and it forms an anterior sacculated colon and a posterior beaded rectum is there. So in the beaded rectum, the fecal matter is present. So this is the second last slide, which shows the rectal gland, cloaca, and the cloacal aperture. So the rectal glands, these are tubular rectal glands of unknown function, which opens dorsally into the rectum. This is condition in the fishes. Rectal glands are absent in all the remaining four classes, that is in amphibia, reptile, bird, and mammals. If you see the cloaca and the other portion bursa fabrici, the rectum opens behind into the simple cloaca through the, and it is guarded by the sphincter, which contain the urinogenital apertures. Then the pair of the abdominal pores form the peritoneal coelom, and the bursa fabrici is completely absent. In amphibians, rectum opens through the anus into the single sac like cloaca, which contain urinogenital apertures. Anal sphincter is present, but abdominal pores and the bursa fabrici is completely absent. In reptiles, rectum opens into a tripartite cloaca divided into three linear chambers, that is the coprodium, urodium, and the procodium. Anal sphincter present, but the abdominal pores and the bursa fabrici is absent in the reptiles. In case of birds, rectum opens behind through anus. It is guarded by the anal sphincter into a tripartite cloaca, which is made up of three linear chambers similar to the reptiles. Here the abdominal pores are absent, and in young birds only small thick-walled blind pouch, that is the bursa fabrici, is present, located dorsally on the procodium. Let us consider the condition in the rabbit. Cloaca is absent, rectum leads directly to the outside by anus, and it is provided with the anal sphincter. No abdominal PS, no bursa fabrici is present in the mammals. Account of the cloacal aperture. This cloacal aperture only present into the all the initial four classes, but it is absent in the mammals. In fishes, cloaca opens by mid-ventral longitudinal slit between pelvic fins. Then in amphibians, cloaca opens at the posterior end of the trunk between the hind limbs through the cloacal aperture. In the reptile, cloacal aperture is a mid-ventral transverse slit at the base of the tail, and in the birds, procodium opens at the base of the tail ventrally by transverse slit-like aperture. Okay, come to the next slide. This is the account. Let us consider, we have completed the information of the alimentary canal. Come to the point number 2, That is the information of the digestive gland. So let us consider first the mucous glands. Here the four characters are written: mucous gland, salivary glands, gastric glands, and the pancreas. So these mucous glands are absent in the fishes, in the aquatic forms. Then the mucous glands, in case of the amphibians, these are located in the internal epithelial lining of the buccopharyngeal cavity and the esophagus, which secrete the mucus and it lubricates the passage of the food. The mucous glands are very scant in reptiles. In birds, mucous glands are very few, present mainly in the buccal cavity and on the tongue. Then the mucous glands are present throughout the lining of the digestive tract. Okay. Account of this salivary gland. Salivary glands are absent in fishes, in Scoliodon, as well as in the amphibians. Salivary glands, these are very few or scanty, which are secreting the saliva into the buccal cavity. In case of the pigeon, the buccal glands of mouth cavity probably secrete mucus, but they are not salivary glands. While in rabbit, four types of the salivary glands, which are provided with the separate ducts and opens into the buccal cavity, this secrete saliva, which contain the enzyme tylene or the amylase. Yes, there is the amylase. Then, gastric glands. Gastric glands present in the stomach, which secrete the gastric juice, which contain the protein digesting enzyme, that is the pepsin and the hydrochloric acid or HCl. Here in amphibians, the gastric glands present in the stomach, secreting the pepsinogen and HCl. In reptile, present in the mucous lining of the stomach. The similar condition is present in the pigeon, but they are located in the proventriculus, secreting the peptic enzyme and the hydrochloric acid. While in the rabbit, the gastric glands are present and secrete the pepsinogen. Then another one hormone is the renin and hydrochloric acid. Information of the pancreas. If you see the pancreas in Scoliodon, it is compact, whitish, and a bilobed gland found between the cardiac and the pyloric stomach. Then, if you see the pancreas in the frog, these are much branched, irregular, and cream-colored gland located in the U-shaped loop, which also secrete the pancreatic juice. In lizard, the pancreas, it is narrow, elongated. It is a whitish gland, and it is further present in the loop and opens into the duodenum. Then, if you see in case of the pigeon, pancreas, it is pinkish. It is a band-like narrow gland lying between the two limbs of the duodenum. And in a rabbit, pancreas is irregular, diffused. Again, the color is pinkish and surrounded by the duodenal loops. Now let us consider information of the pancreatic ducts, liver, gallbladder, and the bile duct. So the next character is the pancreatic duct. In fishes, single pancreatic duct opens independently into the proximal end of the intestine. In frog, small pancreatic duct opens into the bile duct to form the common hepatopancreatic duct. In reptile, single pancreatic duct opens independently into the duodenum. In bird, three separate pancreatic ducts opens independently into the distal limb of the duodenum. And in case of mammal, single pancreatic duct leads into the distal limb of the duodenum and opens there. Now, information of the largest digestive gland, that is liver. Liver in fishes, it is massive. It is yellowish bilobed gland in the abdominal cavity. Liver in amphibian, it is large, reddish brown, three-lobed with right, left, and the median lobe. In reptile, it is also large, dark red, and bilobed. Right lobe, it is extended up to the gonad, while the minor third lobe present according to here, it may be present, but some workers say it is present. Meaning some scientists say it is present. In birds, liver is large, compact, dark red, and it is bilobed. Right lobe, it is much larger. Then, Let us consider the account of the liver in the mammals. In mammal, liver is large, it is dark red, and it is made up of 5 lobes: right and left central lobe, left lateral, then the caudal lobe, and the Spigelian lobe. So these are the 5 lobes of the liver in the rabbit. Account of the gallbladder. Here, shape of the gallbladder, it is Y-shaped in the fishes. It is thin-walled and attached to the right liver lobe. In frog, gallbladder is large, spherical, greenish, located ventrally between the two main liver lobes. In reptile, it is subspherical gallbladder, present ventrally between the right and left liver lobe, while in the bird, gallbladder is absent in the pigeon. So this is point for the MCQ. Then gallbladder, it is elongated, it is dark green gallbladder, embedded ventrally in the posterior part of the right central lobe. Now the account of the bile ducts. In fishes, bile ducts, it is single bile duct opens independently into the beginning of the intestine. While in the frog, bile duct passes through the pancreas, receiving the pancreatic ducts. Thus, it combines to form the hepatopancreatic duct, which further opens into the duodenum. Then, in reptiles, 2 bile ducts lead from liver to open into the duodenum. While in birds, 2 bile ducts opens, one in proximal lobe and other in the distal lobe of the duodenum. That is, 2 are opening separately. In mammal, in rabbit, single bile duct, it empties into the proximal limb of duodenum located near the pylorus or the pyloric sphincter. Okay, are you following? Are you समझते का? Hello?
Yes,
Sir.
sir.
Okay.
हो सर समझते हैं.
Okay, now come to the very last point, which is related to the comparative account. Here, the third point, it is related with the food and feeding habit in the 5 classes. Okay, food and feeding habit. Okay, when you see the habit of the fishes, generally fishes are carnivorous. Colodon is carnivorous and the predaceous feeder. Okay, frog is also carnivorous and predaceous, while the Uromastyx is chiefly herbivorous and sometimes insectivorous, while bird, pigeon, is chiefly herbivorous and at times insectivorous. While the mammal is herbivorous, it is related. Rabbit is herbivorous, but now we are omnivorous. Okay, and this rabbit is coprophagous also. What is the meaning of coprophagous? What is the meaning of coprophagous? Anybody? Any idea from you for coprophagous? What is the meaning of coprodium?
सर फॅगस म्हणजे खाणारे पण त्याचा ऍक्च्युअल मीनिंग नाही माहिती.
Okay. If you see the regions of the rectum, proctodium, coprodium, so it is related with the rectum. And the actual meaning of the coprophagus is that when it is the habit of eating the own fecal matter, okay, it is known as the coprophagus. Okay, when you see the food in case of Scoliodon, the food includes crabs, lobsters, worms, and the fishes. In frog, food is living insects, worms, small mollusks, crustaceans, small fishes, and the tadpoles. In lizard, the food includes the grasses, flowers, fruits, then the succulent leaves, and at times insects. While in case of pigeon, the foods is grains, pulses, variety of the seeds, and sometimes insects, snails, and slug. While the rabbit generally eat the green leafy vegetables, then the grasses, cereals, roots, and the bark of the trees. Okay, So this is all about regarding the comparative account. Okay. In the end semester examination for the long answer question, you have to compare. Okay. You will ask the comparison between the digestive system of dogfish with the digestive system of frog or lizard or pigeon or rabbit. Okay. So there are many permutation and combination. Compare the digestive system of dogfish with amphibia or with reptilia or with apes or with rabbit. Or compare rabbit with the frog. That is, compare the digestive system of mammal with the amphibia. Or compare the digestive system of pigeon with the Pisces. Okay, so in that fashion, the full length question is asked for the end semester examination. Now, in the coming week, in the next week, you have to face the MCQ. Okay, now the questions are related only this, the point that we have completed in the total duration of the 1 month syllabus. Okay, do you have any difficulty or any question? Do you have any difficulty?
No, sir.
ओके, आता याच्यामधले जे काही ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह आहेत ते ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह तुम्ही जरा शोधा. मी काय काय तुम्हाला जाता जाता सांगितलेले आहेत. हा
सर
हा
PPT
50%.
होता ना सर?
हा बोला, काय झालं?
PPT.
हा पीपीटी मी शेअर करणार तुम्हाला. पीपीटी शेअर करतो म्हणजे तुमच्याकडे त्या नोट्स येतील. हा म्हणजे माझे 50% प्रश्न असतील आणि शेख मॅडमचे 50% प्रश्न तुम्हाला असतील. ओके
हाँ सर. ओके सर.
ओके ओके ठीक आहे. थांबूया.
यस सर.
ओके ठीक आहे.